My people, what's going on? What's going on? Hope life is good. Hope everybody days cool. Cool investments. Cool moves being made throughout the day. Because I always tell people we supposed to be fighting for the future. Putting up for the future. Yo. I'm gonna start having y'all tell me what type of power moves y'all made throughout the day. All we about is progress. That's it. Progress, progress, progress. You dig? It's all that we're about. My people, my people, my people. Y'all know I get a kick out of saying that, right? Yeah, that's because of how dope we could be if we had our stuff together. But you know, there's those of us who are trying. But listen, we're gonna cut right into it. There's no need to play games. We're gonna cut right into it. Uh, the subject matter is when will women realize that their way was the wrong way? Like I said, we're gonna get right to it. Do you guys know what a business plan is? Um, it's the executing of an idea of a specific business on paper. Details all the aspects of what the business is, what it does, and the money the outcome that it's supposed to produce. When people are looking for investors and things like that, of course the business isn't built yet. So the only second best thing that you can do is people draft up the exactness of the business on paper, and the investors can look over it, you know, because it gives them an overview of the entire idea, and you can see what's the potential problems are going to be that you run into, how possible this thing is to pull off, right? And just based on the information, what the most likely outcome is to be. That's what a business plan is. Ladies, 20 years ago, if you had have told us that your plans were to be an independent woman, to live years of partying, to be having multiple children by multiple different men, to completely separate yourselves from men and all types of authoritative figures, if we would have put all of that information on a business plan, we could have predicted a terrible outcome. All of the information is there. If we would have wrote down every move that women were going to make from last 20 years until now, a business plan does that. It tells you what the likely outcome of something is. If you look around, no other race has attempted to express this type of freedom and avoidance of authoritative figures and, you know, accountability. No other race has done it. And it's likely because they knew that there was a catastrophic repercussion behind it to any community that tried to adapt these ways. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to get to a solution, because this has to stop. We got to do better, right? This thing that black women took on with feminism, independence, and the partying life, if we had written this thing out on a business format, 100% you would have been able to see that the end result would come out in high rate of single women, low rate of married women, high rate of children born to single parent households. I call those criminal creators, because 80% of the criminals and the dysfunctionals in the street came from single mom households. You know, we would have also predicted that she would endure a high rate of economic struggle just because of the components that are in place. There are certain components that are put in place in certain things to produce certain results. If you put 3 children on top of a single mom, there's going to be a result of an economic crunch and struggle. Yes. A A business plan shows what is needed for people to pull off their next step as well, right? And when you look at it from that perspective, think about this. For a people to accrue finances and be able to save, a person's income needs to be tied to another person's income. That way, after paying bills, each person will have money left over to put in their savings account instead of one person spending their entire checks on bills each month and having nothing left to save. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to definitely talk about it. Listen, if you just look at the if you look at the lifestyle that our women live right now, a business plan would have also revealed that if the mother is a single parent, she has to provide income, so she has to be working. But without there being a secondary parent in the house, that child won't get the proper parental nutrition that it could be getting if there was. When the mother was at work, then that's how the child would be getting the nutrition, the mental nutrition from the dad, right? Wisdom, and vice versa. It would be alternating. It'd be a unit. But listen, without that second parent, the child is left to school influences and the internet for its learning. I'd like to know how that works. But there's a benefit in even knowing the ins and outs of what a man looks like, walks like, talks like. It would be easier if he lived in the house with the man. That's suggestive of that just without even thinking about it. Kid wouldn't have to listen to rumors of what men are. Men are dogs, men are this. Because that person would have a reference point. It would be the man that was in the house with them. That person would be able to discern for themselves and say, no, you're wrong, because I've lived with a man. His every step, his every movement, that man's every step and every movement in that house would be that kid's tutelage. And, that is, of course, listen, I'm not removing what the child would get from a mom, but the issue is that is the norm that they get from the mom. 80% of our children are born to single parent moms. But without the dad and absorbing what the dad has to offer, what could the child get except for what women's behaviors are like? Yeah. But as well, having a man in the house, women wouldn't have such a high rate of multiple children by multiple different fathers. Think about it. Because there would be one person in that woman's life to fill those voids and prevent her from seeking attention from other men. So she wouldn't be able to get pregnant by multiple men, right? Listen, just having that man in the house would more than likely assist that woman in being more feminine, more pleasant to be around, because that's a man's area of mastery, keeping a woman in check. I saw this firsthand with my grandparents. A woman who is in a relationship is less apt to do the things that you see single women doing in the streets that gives them bad reputations and habits. It's just what it is. Because for one, she knows that she can't let it get back to her guy that she was out in the streets acting inappropriately in public, right? She subconsciously knows that she has someone to answer to. Therefore, she won't be participating in a lot of the riffraff that you see a lot of single women participating in. Therefore, she won't be attaching herself to many bad, unladylike habits. Listen, ladies, a man's purpose is so much more than what you label it out to be. We bring so much more to the table. We enhance you as well. Like, there's never been any dispute that women enhance men. But, yeah, I've said this on one of the shows before, but one thing that I love about Jehovah's Witness is they have what you call an overseer, and he doesn't go from state to state. He's worldwide. He travels. Like, he'll just slip into the audience, into the crowd, just sit there. What his thing is to oversee and make sure all of the kingdom halls throughout the world are teaching the same thing. And it's just different overseers all the time. There's different ones. It's an overseer. Everyone needs an overseer. Why do you think businesses and Fortune 500 companies have departments? One department oversees the next because we got to make sure things are operating according to protocol. And every group of people seems to understand this except for ours. Yeah. And like I said, not only will having a man keep a woman kind of in check from doing other unsavory behaviors and habits, having that man around will likely help her to crush old behaviors that she developed that were bad before he met her. You just overall turn out to be a better person. Ladies, listen. I'm going to wager you this. I believe this with my whole heart. I believe look at the behaviors of your married friends. And listen, I'm talking about the ones who are really married, who have been married for some years, the ones who have been married for 10 years already. I'm talking about those ones. I'm not talking about the plaything. Look at your married friends, female friends' behaviors versus the ones who aren't married. There's a difference. You know there's a difference. A woman is going to do what she can do. Like, our grandparents raised us on you give an N word an inch, he'll take a mile. Well, that's human nature, is actually what it is. A woman is literally going to do what she's allowed to do. You have to think about it. The women we hear about representing the black community in a terrible way, do you think those are married women? No. Married women have someone to answer to. Married women represent someone, and therefore they can't be living a life that makes that unit look bad, or that person will approach her and let her know, hey, baby, I heard blah, 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 blah. Listen, you bringing my brand value down and out there acting like that. And just like that, that person was approached, we'll say checked. And I bet you, listen to me, I bet you she probably won't do that again. That is correction. That is an enhancement of that woman's life now. Anytime you learn not to do a bad thing that you used to do, that's called improvement. Listen, from the very first day that black women wanted to take a leap into the independent woman's movement, we could have started a blueprint just based on that single moment right there and compiled data from the benefits of white women, Asian women, and other ethnic races that tend to stay in fruitful in economic relationships. And we could have predicted that the independent woman's movement, the party life, and the I don't need no man thing had the ability to destroy an entire community. And it did. It destroyed the ones who were foolish enough to get close enough to it to play with it. Other races didn't even desire to play with it. They knew. Listen, ladies, every successful community that we know is the exact opposite of independent from one another. Every other sect follows the same group of rules, and they all understand the importance of a man. There are no other communities where they're walking around talking about, I don't need a man. No one's practicing that except for our culture. Listen, ladies, most black women don't even know what it is to to come home to a mailbox that's full of bills and just start smiling and thanking God when you see those bills. You're smiling and you're thanking God because you know that you only have to pay half of those bills because there's a man in that house right now laid in his bed who's going to pay the other half. Most black women don't know what it is to be able to put money into a separate savings account each time they get paid. Because all of their money goes to bills. What black women did is black women traded lifelong security for the independent party of your life. I call it the independent party of your life. I'm talking about to where they're still partying in the late 40s and things like that, right? And unfortunately, ladies, there is no rewind button. can't go back and change your mind now that you started seeing it for what it really is. Because now you're at an age where it's a lot more difficult to decide all of the sudden out of thin air that you're ready to get serious and get a serious relationship and find the type of man that you're attracted to who's also willing to deal with a woman who's in her 40s. It's not what the average man is looking for. You had those bargaining chips like 15 years ago when you were living the party life. And now that you've done severe damage to your bargaining chips, you know, it's like really, and your bargaining chips were your perky boobs, the stomach that, you know, didn't resemble 3 children coming out of it, 2 children coming out of it. You know, you didn't have grays in your hair then. Those were your bargaining chips. Those were your leverage to get a man to say, hey, I want to be with you and I don't want nobody else to have you. You don't have those anymore. You don't have those anymore. Just being honest, if we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about it. More than likely, the titties have started to sagging. They're not as perky and as enticing as they used to be when you walked by men versus when you used to walk by men now and you don't get the same attention as you did 15 years ago. You know you don't. I repeat, you do not move the crowd like you did 15 years ago. You are not desired by men like you used to be 15 years ago. And that power that you had then, that desirability, it was your money that is used to purchase the right man with. So now you have low funds. Listen, we're just being blunt. You've never in life heard a young boy say, I can't wait till I get older so I could get me a woman with gray hairs coming in, sagging tits, and an extremely used vagina, you know. Yeah, you've never heard a boy say that. We're just talking realistically. But ladies, I'm happy to report to you, all is not lost. The car was severely wrecked and damaged, but all is not lost. You still have a major card that you can play. You still have one major move that you can make. It's going to require a lot of work and undoing. If you have it in you, ladies, to humble yourself and develop a nice spirit, a cooperative feminine spirit, an accommodating spirit. Listen, ladies, the power that is contained in that behavior by itself is enough. Men have dated big girls, even though they typically weren't the type to date a big girl, in order to stay around that pleasant energy. That's how powerful that stuff is. So ladies, you still do have one card that you can play. But ladies, this is your last card. The allure of your body, it can't get men of quality anymore because your competition is a 29-year-old today and she looks good. If you can learn to get somewhat fit, become friendlier and more cooperative, ladies, you're hearing this from a man, and most of you know I'm viciously raw. I don't say stuff that I don't mean. Ladies, if you can learn to get somewhat fit, down to the best shape that you can get to where even you can admit you're looking pretty decent, become friendlier and more cooperative, it'll knock 10 years off of your real age in the eyes of all men. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. There's no doubt about it. And your odds of securing a man that you will also find attractive instead of settling for what you can get will rise exponentially. There's something about a power of a woman who behaves like a woman. A woman, ladies, you're going to have to humble yourself. You almost have, listen, I'm going to say it. Let's do it if we're going to do it. You ladies almost need to be begging men to give you another chance. That person who you think you could deal with, but you always thought he's not really on your level because he had this vice and blah, blah, blah. you need to humble yourself significantly, because if it's not known of you by all of your friends and other people, that in the last 15 years you've had a relationship that everyone knows his name and it was a very serious relationship. If you have not had a serious relationship in the last 10, 15 years, ladies, it's time to get on your knees. It's time to get on your knees. What does that tell you? Does that tell you it's going to get better later? Is that what you think? You're getting older. Your value is plummeting. You may be a nice person, but you're not getting better the older you get. Men do. And that's just a fact. Ladies, it's time because I want the best outcome for you. I'm not going to reveal too much, but I definitely want you to have somebody. I want to hear these reports. Like, I really do want, when people get married, hey, throw it up on the thing, because I love that, right? But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that you can get a man who makes $75,000 a year. Why would he want you? Do you know what he has options for? Yeah, you should stop looking. You should stop looking at men who you know are financially successful. They don't want you. The other options that they have are exponentially higher than. Do I have to tell you what your body looks like now? Do I have to remind you of what your 45 to 50-year-old body looks like now? When you go to bed tonight, here's what I'll ask you to do. Go in the bathroom, take off all your clothes, and just stand there. Those are your bargaining tips. I'm not saying it to be hurtful. I'm telling you, you better humble yourself. You'd better humble yourself a lot, because it is essential. It is essential that a person's income is tied to another person's income. 20 years ago, they said that it took 2 incomes to survive in America. That was 20 years ago. What do you think is going on now that gas is $7 a gallon? You women almost need to be telling your friends, hey girl, look, it didn't. Matter of fact, you don't have to. I'm going to do it for you. Check this out.
Black woman, we've been duped. Can I talk about it? I'm gonna talk about it. And shout out to Erica Lachey. I watched your live the other day. It was amazing, and she brought out some great points that I want to refer to in this video. So how is it that we've been duped exactly? Being the strong, independent woman that so many of us are today, we were married at a higher rate than most demographics in the 50s and 60s. The man would go out and work, the woman stayed home and took care of the place and the kids. But somehow that lifestyle was demonized and looked at as a mockery for the modern lifestyle that we now have today. Ever since feminism and the whole women's rights movement came into play and women were now able to go out and do what the men do, going out to work and have businesses, we somehow felt as if that made us better women. And that's not to say that women can't work or have businesses or anything of the sort. She said, but we as women had a life that was easier for us back then. And modern women today now, according to many surveys, we're more depressed, we're more anxious, we have a lot more mental health problems than we did ever before, and our women are the least married than we've ever been in history. We physically and figuratively wanted to wear the pants in the relationship while all the while they were using reverse psychology on us. This is the modern woman you should aspire to be like. She's not just a housewife, she's not just a cook or a mom, as if these things were demeaning. There's nothing wrong with being a working woman, but we're clearly not as happy as we used to be, and we're clearly not as married as we used to be either. Life is a lot harder for a lot of us because we don't have as much 2-parent households anymore. Now you have so many women saying, oh, I don't feel protected by the black man. Well, you're so busy trying to be the man, how is he gonna protect you?
Let's talk about it. See, if you won't listen to men and you won't listen to women, what is the likely outcome of a people like that? You're similar to someone who, when God says, Thursday, I'm dropping all of the information on the planet that's going to help people grow mentally, and came Thursday, you came with some headphones and a football helmet. You don't need any input, right? You don't need to learn from nobody, right? Man or woman. Listen, you ladies had better humble yourself, because your clock is ticking. It's going to come to a place where you're going to have a man that you're probably taking care of. A good guy. You're at the end of your rope. You'd better humble yourself. You women right now should be telling your friends, girl, listen, I can't keep doing this. Whatever I got to do to get me a man, y'all can stay out here if y'all want to. Cardi B been telling y'all I don't cook, I don't clean, but she in there cooking and cleaning or getting the same result produced. You ladies had better humble yourself for you end up dying alone. There's things that are coming in this world. They say we're about to head towards nuclear war. And if these homes start getting raided and stores start, and listen, that's not a far stretch. I keep up on that stuff. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I hate that type of stuff, right? But it really is looking like we could go to nuclear war. There's 4 superpowers that are threatening each other daily. And one of those countries is already at war. If we were to go to war and anarchy break out in these streets, grocery stores start getting looted, it would become a very dangerous situation. Most people are already prepared for this because we've already always talked about what would happen. Let's say my kids haven't eaten in 3 days already. I'm over there looking at them going through anguish already. And I smell bacon coming from your house, single woman. I'm not a bad person, but you think I'm not coming over there to do what I got to do to secure food for my family? And it's going to happen everywhere because 75% of you don't have a protector. Who's going to go get your groceries and things like that? You? With all of the men that's out there going to get stuff for their households too? You ladies better wake up. Because your clock is not only ticking, the thing's about to stop. I'm only being honest with you. Listen, there's no doubt about it. You're older and you're less desirable than you were 15 years ago. But if you become a friendly, cooperative, and somewhat fit woman, your probability of striking a deal with a man will go exponentially higher. They will. We just love a cooperative woman who behaves like a woman. You should be tired of acting like a man after all this time anyway, to be honest. You should want a man in your house who's acting like the man so you can rest mentally and spiritually, right? But you can't let that control juice go. You stuck on the juice. You gonna learn. What he saying, boys in the hood? Oh, you gonna learn. But ladies, yes, there is hope. If you can change your demeanor, your attitude, and your behavior, your stock will rise, and you will definitely be more desirable in the eyes of a multitude of men. Listen, ladies, I tell people this. If there's etiquette classes around you anywhere, if you're close to any city where there's etiquette classes or things like that, or even if you're not, I'll tell you what you do. If you can't take etiquette classes and other courses that help you to slide back into your femininity, start studying and watching the movement of women like Jessica Biel and women like her who you know that men kind of find them appealing, right? And when you're at the house by yourself or whatever, exercise some of those behaviors that you see in them. Just a pleasant word, right? Whenever you ladies have heard serious talks about the rebuilding of the black community, typically it's been men that you've seen having these huddles. It's been men leading these discussions, which is probably an indication that men care more about the rebuilding of the black community. But what we're seeing of our women is counterproductive to what we're trying to do. There's multiple elements that have been in place that women have put in place that have turned into a lifetime parasite for the rebuilding of the black community. Having multiple kids by multiple different men. Listen, I want to do this. Think about this. Think about a person that you can actually say is really your friend, that everyone knows has a nice lifestyle and more than likely has $10,000 and even more in the bank all times throughout the year round. I bet you'll have a hard time naming that friend if she's not one of your friends that's married or at least living with the man. It's difficult to do that. It's difficult to live a nice lifestyle without associating it with one of your friends who's married, and who has a partner. You know I'm right. And that by itself is evidence of how critical it is to have a man in your life. Some of you have men, some of you know men that you might talk to if you didn't think your girls would be like, ugh, girl, because of a past that he had or something, or some old addiction he used to have, some type of blemished past he used to have. You won't talk to him just because of that. But ladies, that man would fill so many voids gaps and holes in your life, you wouldn't believe it. At this time, there's nothing wrong with a Builder Bob, as long as he's not too big of an inconvenience, as long as he doesn't require too much work. The efficiency and new freedoms that a man in your life would bring, it would even allow you to generate more money and be more productive. See, men do a lot more than what you think we do. We bring a lot more. Listen, ladies, y'all better stop playing with this thing called life, because it gets rough towards the end. It gets rough towards the end. Let me show you something else.
And the team loses, they gonna come at you, right? Because you're the leader. You're the quarterback. If we're the leader of the community, and if black women are so out of control, or modern women are so out of control, then ain't that on us?
The world is trying to tell you.
If the team decided we don't need to listen to this leader anymore, we got this, we can play the game without you and win. Matter of fact, we'll get further without your leadership. Only to find out, you thought the leader was insignificant, but he was the most valuable player. But you didn't learn that until you went out there trying to play games without listening to the leader, because you thought you knew more than the leader. You thought you can get further without the leader. You thought life would be more beneficial without the leader leading you. Now you're dealing with the ramifications, what have you, of a team with no leader, no direction, no instruction. Then, after abandoning leadership, you don't get to come back and point your finger in that leader's face and say, we lost games because you wasn't there. You wasn't there. It's your fault. It's your fault. No, you come back and say, I was wrong, boss. Forgive me. I thought I didn't need you. I thought I could do it without you. I see that. I need you just as much as you need me. But no. These women want to blame the leader because they decided they didn't need that leader's leadership. Now they dealing with the results of not having a leadership, and they coming back blaming the leader when the leader ain't the one told them to leave in the first place. Who told them to leave is people that don't even play the game that you're playing. More of the story, ladies, let's just admit we was wrong. We was wrong. Feminism lied to us. Simps lied to us. Older women who came before us lied to us. It's okay. It's okay. We was wrong. There is something so beautiful about a woman that's able to be vulnerable and admit that she was wrong. Just, you was wrong, baby. You was wrong.
I'm going to tell you how powerful that type of correction, that type of accountability, I'm going to tell you how alluring it is. I've dated women who are more beautiful than her. I'd lock in with her just because of where she's at mentally right now. Do you know what somebody like me and her could pull off with her mind being right there? I know the Bible talks about it. It's talking about people coming to God and what it takes to come to God. The Bible says, if first there be a willing spirit. When that mind is willing to cooperate, the sky is the limit. Sky really is the limit. You know, the thing is this, ladies. I want to ask you, do you ladies know what she meant when she said, let's admit we were wrong? She was referring to the outcomes that you guys are currently dealing with. It's evident to everybody in the world, this behavior that you've lived over the last 15, 20 years, it was bad for you. You ladies are single in your 40s and in some cases your 50s. I see 50 and 60-year-olds on dating sites. A lot of you have been destroyed. A lot of your lives have been destroyed and you don't even know it. You've never stopped to think, not only am I single, I don't have a man to protect my house. My body is probably out of shape now. My recruiting power is low. It's starting to look like I'm really going to be struggling paying my bills by myself for the rest of my life, which is a struggle by itself. Ladies, you shouldn't want to work forever by yourself. It's called pressure. To know that this bill has to get paid, that if you wanted to call off Friday, you can't. If you've been having a toothache the entire weekend, you still got to go in because that needs paid and it's already past due. That's not life, right? That's not life. And some of you women aren't even as attractive as you think you are with all these high standards. You're not. Listen, that woman right there she was above average attractive, meaning from a statistical viewpoint, she was probably more attractive than most of you, and she acknowledges the peril that she's in. That woman was more attractive than the average person. That's why there's a such thing as average, below average, and above average. She wasn't average, just okay. And she understands the sense of urgency. Like I said, you shouldn't want to keep on working forever to pay bills by yourself. And want to keep having random sex with people you've been dealing with for 10 plus years. You should want one man. Do you have I'm going to say this. Those movements that you made created the highest rate of non-married women in any culture. You have the highest divorce rate. You have the highest rate of multiple children by multiple different dads. Only 25 of you will get married out of 100. The world has labeled you the most, like in multiple surveys, has labeled you the most undesirable woman on the entire planet. That one turn that you ladies took 20 years ago, when you decided to live the independent life, the life of the party, the life of the independent woman, don't need no man. Well, what you didn't know that you know now, that there was a cliff at the end of that turn. And the life that many of you live right now is the damage from the fall. Because you definitely fell off the cliff. You're living the repercussions right now. So many repercussions. All of those things that you're paying by yourself, those bills. Even when you hear something, the wood creak and downstairs when you're upstairs at night, you get a little jumpy and you wish you had a man to go downstairs and see what it was about. All of the men that you have to deal with, some of you have a three-man rotation as far as sex partners. Understandably so, but it's not supposed to be like that. You don't, and neither will you ever really own anything of significance because most people utilize two incomes to obtain items of significance. Yeah. That thing did not work, ladies. That thing did not work. I don't need no man. The life of the party, partying and late into your late 40s. That thing did not work. You thinking that you had so much time to, well, I'm gonna settle down in my, no, that's not up to you. Now your titties is sagging, vagina lips is probably hanging down like a curtain, won't stretch back in shape. Odometer done flipped. Grays is starting to kick in your head. Skin starting to sag. Stomach probably look like a real old catcher's mitt, the brown leather catcher's mitt from the multiple kids. You played yourself. And now your leverage is low. What you would have to entice a man to lock you down and protect you for the rest of your life, it has minimal value. Especially when these 29-year-old girls who have replaced you have stomachs that you look like you could wash clothes on. I hope you guys see how bad this lifestyle you took on was. I think the only reason that you guys don't recognize the outcomes of your lives were catastrophic is because you're alive. Often if people don't see the worst scenario, they think everything is still cool. But no, it's not. No, it's not. You're doing exactly what I just said. You're just living. You're just alive. That's about it. The security isn't there. The love isn't there. You live a life of struggle, more than likely. The average African American doesn't have $2,500 in the bank that they can go freely remove. Ladies, I'll say it again. This way that you ladies chose to live has catastrophic results to any culture. That's why North Korea said if you come over there sagging pants and mimicking black culture is punishable by up to 25 years in prison. No one, and I mean no people of all ethnic groups, can understand why you don't understand your way does not work. It's visible to the entire world. It's visible to the entire world that your way of living that you ladies chose is non-sustainable. It does not work. It wasn't even designed to work long term. That movement, the equality, women being able to work and things, you weren't supposed to take on the role of something that's now turning into a man. Indiana University revealed the report that when it comes to cheating, men and women are at a dead heat. Men cheat 20%, women cheat 20%. So you've actually turned into something other than women because your journey, the dating highway, you got banged up, you got some fender benders, and now you're not what you were originally designed to be. You've been through bad relationship after bad relationship. You're scorned, you're bitter. So now when the next man comes into contact with you, he's going to have to experience some of the fender benders that you accrued through on the dating highway. The moves that you make produce outcomes that are worse than any other ethnic group on the entire planet. At this point, it's time for you to basically just be quiet and latch on to a man who you respect and let him guide you. I'm just being honest with you. Because the truth is, absolutely any man can do better for you than what you've done. Listen. When kids stay with the mother, they have an 80% failure rate in society. And most end up criminals. Black boys who are in the 12th grade can read at a 4th grade level, sometimes 5th, a little bit higher. 80% of the criminals and dysfunctionals in the street were raised in single mom households. You have been ranked the most undesirable woman in the entire country, entire world actually, by multiple different surveys. Yet every woman of every ethnic race finds black men intriguing and attractive. So listen, we don't have an issue getting attention from other people of other ethnic races. Yet there's no other race that wants to deal with black women. Of all the people on the planet, there's no ethnic groups coming in large numbers to date black women. And I'm only stressing this to let you know how serious you need to get about getting you a mate. And I'm just saying, these things should be telling you that your way of living is not right. In 1960, you women were married at an 80% ratio. 1970, when the women's equal rights movement came along, your stuff tanked. It tanked less than half. More than half, I mean. When women got rights and got the ability to move as they desired, your marital rate went from 80% to 17%. Majority of the people on this planet have spoke out against your behavior, and instead of thinking, There's a lot of people saying the same thing. Maybe there's some things that I need to change. You have this trademark defense you use as saying they're bashing, they're attacking us. Ladies, I'm here to tell you, you're not going to be able to get away with that for too much longer. Within the next few months, I'm thinking that there's going to be some real life events that you're going to be confronted by that have realistic repercussions of that lifestyle. You know, if we go to war with Russia and things like this stuff is really looking like a reality. If we do end up going to war with Russia and things like that, and street houses start getting looted and things like that nature start taking place, you won't even have a defense for your home. You won't have a defense for your child. You'll have to become a burden upon some of your other family members who had sense enough to have stockpiles of food. That's just the way it's going to end up being. If I were you, I'd be fighting like today was my last day. I'd almost, to be honest, you ladies should be almost willing to, like I said, tomorrow the conversation that you got girls should have with your girlfriends is, listen, girl, I can't keep on rocking out like this. I know y'all look at so-and-so like he used to be a drug addict, but you know he's still kind of cute, girl. I'm going to see what he's talking about. And guess what? The ones who are calling you stupid, they'll be single after you've, what do you call it? Build a bobbed him up. So yeah, ladies, it's time. It's time to stop playing. Your bargaining chips are already destroyed. You don't really have any bargaining chips. And when people don't have enough money to get the things that they want at stores, you get what you can. I mean, stay close in prayer and things like that. Get your spirit right. Get your spirit right. But until the next time, you know. Peace. But you know what? I think I am going to let you guys go out on this one time. I'm going to let y'all go out on this.
And the team loses, they going to come at you, right? Because you're the leader. You're the quarterback. If we the leader of the community, and if black women are so out of control, or modern women are so out of control, then ain't that on us? Yeah.
But if the team decided we don't need to listen to this leader anymore, we got this. We can play the game without you and win. Matter of fact, we'll get further without your leadership. Only to find out, you thought the leader was insignificant, but he was the most valuable player. But you didn't learn that until you went out there trying to play games without listening to the leader, because you thought you knew more than the leader. You thought you can get further without the leader. You thought life would be more beneficial without the leader leading you. Now you're dealing with the ramifications, what have you, of a team with no leader, no direction, no instruction. Then, after abandoning leadership, you don't get to come back and point your finger in that leader's face and say, we lost games because you wasn't there. You wasn't there. It's your fault. It's your fault. No.
She's going
to come back and say, I was wrong, boss. Forgive me. I thought I didn't need you. I thought I could do it without you. I see that. I need you just as much as you need me. But no. These women want to blame the leader because they decided they didn't need that leader's leadership. Now they dealing with the results of not having a leadership, and they coming back blaming the leader when the leader ain't the one told them to leave in the first place. Who told them to leave is people that don't even play the game that you're playing. Moral of the story, ladies, let's just admit we was wrong. We was wrong. Feminism lied to us. Simps lied to us. Older women who came before us lied to us. It's okay. It's okay. We was wrong. There is something so beautiful about a woman that's able to be vulnerable and admit that she was wrong. You was wrong, baby.
Say that.
You was wrong.
And we out.